Well, 2.5 weeks after sending tanks and ground troops into northern Gaza, Israeli forces have entered Gaza's largest hospital. Now, the Israeli military says it's part of a targeted operation against Hamas, believing the hospital is hiding a Hamas control center that may even house hostages taken from Israel last month. Both Hamas and Shifa hospital staff denied the Israeli allegations. But without providing details, the IDF says it was taking steps to avoid civilian casualties and that it had warned, quote, the relevant authorities in Gaza once again that all military activities within the hospital must cease within 12 hours. Unfortunately, it did not. Hamas has been declared a terrorist organization by Canada and many Western nations.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, meantime, is using his strongest language yet in speaking about the Israel-Hamas war. Speaking in BC yesterday, the Prime Minister says it's heart-wrenching to watch the human tragedy unfolding in the territory.
I have been clear that the price of justice cannot be the continued suffering of all Palestinian civilians. Even wars have rules. All innocent life is equal in worth, Israeli and Palestinian. I urge the government of Israel to exercise maximum restraint.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu heard those remarks clearly and responded to Prime Minister Trudeau on social media, writing on X, "It is not Israel that is deliberately targeting civilians, but Hamas that beheaded, burned, and massacred civilians in the worst horrors perpetrated on Jews since the Holocaust. While Israel is doing everything to keep civilians out of harm's way, Hamas is doing everything to keep them in harm's way. Israel provides civilians in Gaza humanitarian corridors and safe zones. Hamas prevents them from leaving at gunpoint. It is Hamas, not Israel, that should be held accountable for committing a double war crime, targeting civilians while hiding behind civilians. The forces of civilization must back Israel in defeating Hamas barbarism." RPM also saying that Hamas needs to stop using Palestinians as human shields and to release all of the hostages immediately and unconditionally.
And for the first time since the cross-border terrorist attack by Hamas, Israeli defense officials say they have agreed to allow fuel shipments into the Gaza Strip for humanitarian operations. Until now, Israel was concerned that fuel would be intercepted by Hamas and used with rockets. However, in recent days, the lack of fuel has led to power losses at Gaza's hospitals and have hampered the delivery of aid. United Nations trucks will now be allowed to refill at the Rafah crossing on the Egyptian border. The decision was in response to a request from the United States.